Welcome to Pearls of Wisdom, your guide to extraordinary weddings and events. I'm your host, Ashley Miner, and we're here to share expert insights and inspiring stories. Let's dive into the art of creating unforgettable moments. Welcome back to Pearls of Wisdom. Everybody, very delighted, no pun intended, to have my right-hand woman, Monica, with us today.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hello.
Okay, so let's start by telling us who you are, how you got here, all that fun stuff.
Perfect. Yeah, I am Monica Gordon, Associate Planner for Delight Events. I moved here like a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, from Wichita, where I did weddings before with an event coordinator there, and I really liked it. So when I moved here, and Wichita's like a 5.5 hour drive, so just too far, I reached out to you and then basically forced you to give me a job.
Yeah, we met for coffee, and it was just like on like Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
We just knew we were going to be a good team. I knew I wanted to have you on.
It worked.
I remember leaving that coffee shop that day, and it was such a long, like we had coffee for probably 2 hours.
And I didn't realize that.
And talked about everything. And I like showed you how we do things as a team. And I remember calling my husband and being like, I'm pretty sure I just found my right hand. Because at that time, I was really focused on growing our team, bringing more people on, but didn't really have the right person in place to like be my right-hand man. And I knew that the trajectory of Delight was going to be one that I needed to have that. And I needed someone to kind of like reel me in.
I know about that.
So that goes well for us. But I've been so happy to have you on the team for the last year. So I'm glad that you reached out.
Same.
And then I didn't miss that email because that also sometimes happens.
Yeah.
So
Got lucky.
Yeah, that's right. So kind of, I guess you can bust my balls a little bit and tell everybody what it's like to work with me.
Well, it's a lot of fun. Like, for example, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Want to come be on the podcast?
Yeah, that happened.
Just show up, and sometimes you have no idea what you're getting yourself into, but it's always a good time. Mm-hmm. There's never a dull moment. Mm-hmm. That's for sure.
You're kind of my yes man. Like I have all these crazy ideas, and then you'll be like, okay, yeah, we'll figure that one out. Mm-hmm. It's rare that you give me like a firm no.
No, I never say no. It's usually like a maybe or like, yeah, but what's that gonna look like? Yeah. Kind of thing.
How does that actually
happen?
work?
Yeah. I wouldn't say I really reel you back in at all, though. I think I'm more of the yes. Like,
probably. Maybe we need to find someone to be the no man. We need a no man. Okay, so obviously, most people know us at events. We kind of come as a team, but then also sometimes you have your own events and weddings. And then during the week, you also still work for Delight. Like, kind of talk a little bit about like what your role is in Delight, like in the broad spectrum, I guess.
I mean, I guess I just more handle like client behind the scenes communication. So like I'll usually show up on a wedding day and I'm like, hi, I'm the one behind the emails. Like I'm the one that's been like talking to you that way.
And everyone's always like, oh, you're Monica.
Yeah. And that's usually that's my favorite thing. I never want to be the face of anything. So I really enjoy that I don't have to like go to every single client meeting, and I can just kind of stay at home in my pajamas and don't have to be clothed. And as you would say, you have to come clothed.
Yes.
So it's kind of nice to just work on the computer. I talk to clients. I talk to vendors. I mean, I think that's one of my favorite parts is communicating with vendors and doing that. I also do a lot of the timeline creation. So in the busy times, that just looks like anywhere from 5 to 110, that's not a joke, emails, for one client at a time, between them and vendors or moms or whoever's having a hand in the wedding day. So just a lot of communication back and forth. And then, of course, going along with whatever plans you have going on in the week and whatever we're doing hands-on stuff, whether it's cleaning vases or podcasting or doing venue tours or whatnot. So yeah, just a little bit of everything.
It's an ever-changing thing over here. But the biggest thing that you do for us is that timeline creation and vendor communication, which is amazing. So you not only manage my inbox, but you also manage your own inbox.
I do.
And I very much appreciate that.
Yeah. I thought it was really funny. We had another one of our team members call the other day and tell you that they're like, you have to get this email off of my phone. And I don't even have your email on my phone because
that would be awful.
It's intimidating to open up your email sometime. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got a lot of work to do. Just shuffling through everything. But it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. So yeah. And then on like wedding days, when I do weddings by myself, I mean, as you know, it's just managing a few girls and hanging out and making sure the bride's happy and families are happy and vendors are going and things are happening. So yeah.
Yeah. So what a lot of people might not know specifically about Delight is we take a team approach. So when you hire Delight, you're hiring not me by myself. You're hiring Ashley, Monica, and our team. And we can service a lot of different weddings on one day because we do have such a big team. And so while we love to work together, we also get to split up sometimes, which is good and bad because we would prefer a lot of the times to be together. But you know, if we have 2 weddings in a day, you're at one, I'm at one, and we're able to service more clients that way.
Yeah. And I definitely think this past wedding season has proven that, like, even though we would rather be together, we can still, you know, we obviously did it before by ourselves and we can continue to do it that way. But it's just a different element of, I don't know. It's like I said, just like working with your right hand. Like I know what you need, you know what I need, and it's just we just kind of flow a little.
Well, and you kind of said earlier too, like you don't like to be the face.
Not particularly.
So as you say, you like to put your headphones in and start going, whereas I'm the one that's like greeting vendors and taking care of our brides and stuff like that. And you're really doing a lot of the setup details on the day of and managing our team of girls. Because even when it's you and I leading the team, we still usually have other team members and our interns and things like that. And so you're kind of the actual implementer and I'm just there smiling and kissing babies and stuff.
And yeah, it works great. I think it's a really good flow. And, on days I feel like when I do it by myself, we have a great team and somebody always steps up and kind of steps into a role of leadership and is able to execute and manage whether, it's just a team of 2 to 3 of us or it's a team of 5 of us. Somebody always steps up and is able to take over, which is, I think amazing. That's one thing I love about working with Delight is because all of our team members are great at being team members, but they're also great at being leaders and just taking initiative. And our interns have been amazing. So I think that part is like a great approach. And then also like going back to kind of client work and, how we work as a team together is even like on clients that have a way larger scope than what maybe I want to handle because I do stay at home with my kids and you're a little bit more business able right now. It's kind of nice to show up on those wedding days and still kind of know what's going on with client communication and they still know who I am, but I don't have to be the person that they have seen throughout the whole thing. Their moms don't know my name, which is kind of nice. Their husbands might not know me or their future spouses, which I can just kind of come in and execute and, make sure the team flows. And I really love that part of it.
I really think, having you on now with Delight part-time, but also being able to do your own thing too, as an associate, it's just helped us be able to have a lot more hands to take care of our clients, which is huge. Before the 3 years previously, it was just me handling these clients.
And I just even, busy season last year, I texted you, I don't know how many times, like how in the world did you, manage the, just timeline creation alone with vendor communication while still communicating. It's just a lot of communication in general, I feel like is what this whole event coordinating is and wedding planning is really about. It's a lot of communication. It's a lot of brain space. And, how do you have the brain space to pull out timelines for 20, 30 weddings? And then, vendor, it's just a lot. So I'm happy to help and I do enjoy it a lot. So, and I feel like it serves our clients pretty well with the flow we have.
Yeah. Definitely having 2 points of contact, knowing that we have a large team to take care of them on the day, I would hope takes a lot of stress off of people.
Yeah.
So kind of talking about your previous experience in the wedding industry, you worked for a different planner. What would you say, and in a different market too, because it's very different there, which I'm figuring out because we get to plan a wedding in Wichita this year. But, what would you say are the major differences the way that we do things, good and bad, and the way that your previous, boss did things?
I mean, I think the market plays, like I said, a huge role in it. Here in Columbia, I mean, I would say there's probably a handful of vendors for each category. There's dozens of vendors for each category. I mean, wedding planners alone, I am all about, having a community over competition, but you do have to look at the broad scope of kind of what you're going into whenever you start planning a wedding or starting a business there. And there's a lot of wedding planners, a lot of great ones. And yeah, so I would say something that maybe we do a little differently is we're a little bit larger of a scope, for sure, not just like budget wise, but team wise, in which it was just her and I, and it worked out well. It was kind of the same situation though, where she really enjoyed being the face of the company, which was great because again, I didn't want to, and I would just kind of show up and execute on the day of, which worked out really well. Some things that I think we do maybe a little better. I think we're a little bit more professional, than maybe some event coordinators, like especially the one maybe I worked with previously. I think we just carry ourselves a little bit to higher of a standard than that, which I appreciate. Nothing wrong with the way that things were ran per se. I just think we do a little bit more. I was only doing maybe 5 or 6 weddings, a year.
Right. It's not our side hustle. This is that's
a great way to put it. It was a side hustle for sure. We both still worked full-time jobs and we were both doing this on the side. And I mean, it worked out. But yeah, I definitely prefer the full-time wedding planning approach, if that makes sense. It's a full-time job because it is a full-time job.
It is a full-time job,
yeah,
and it should not be our client's full-time job.
Any couple getting married knows that it can be consuming. It can consume your whole life. And I hear it all the time from our couples. They're like, especially I had one couple that I was driving to their Airbnb because their Airbnb, like getting a car that late at night just literally wasn't happening. And they were like,
oh my gosh, I totally forgot you had to do that.
Oh, that was a trip. If you're listening to this, I love you guys. And I'm so glad we made it.
And Nate.
We made it out alive, guys. We made it out alive. Yeah. We went to the boonies. I went almost an hour outside of Jeff, not because of like literal like time it took there, because my van wouldn't make it up a couple hills. So we climbed a mountain that day. I don't think I'm exaggerating. I think they would attest to that. We looked at each other and we were like, this is where people in Missouri go to get murdered. So that was fun. But I remember like them talking to each other and, I'm like driving Miss Daisy up there and she goes, what are we going to talk about after this? Like we've spent all this time like talking about our wedding and planning our wedding and our honeymoon and all of these things because it does consume your whole life. It can be a full-time job if you let it. So let it be our full-time job. Yeah. Because it is. It's what we do every day.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I totally forgot that you drove them after their reception in Jefferson City to their Airbnb. And that's, I think
that's another difference about Wichita and here is that nothing takes that long to get anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and this is the stuff that I often don't hear about until many, many months afterwards when they're like, oh yeah, did I tell you about the time that I drove our clients to their Airbnb after the wedding? And I was like, I'm sorry, you did what? It's just that's just like the standard I feel that our team really has set is we are going to go. We don't just say we go over and beyond. We actually do go over and beyond. And taking them to their Airbnb was not like an inconvenience to you. You were just of course I'll do that. That's no problem. Don't wait here for another hour for an Uber.
I mean, we had shut the whole wedding down. I mean, everybody was leaving. The last groomsmen were stumbling to their getaway car basically. And I was like, guys, I'm here. Like, we don't have to wait. And now I know why the Uber kept getting pushed back and people kept canceling because it was in the boonies. So luckily, I think one of their parents came and got them the next day. But yeah, I don't know if they ever would have made it, So yeah, I mean, I was happy to do it. It was a lot of fun.
Shout out.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Kelsey and Nate at the Mill Bottom. That was awesome. So last year was your first full year with Delight. What would you say was like a top 3 moment?
Oh gosh. Okay.
Probably driving to the boonies.
That was definitely in the top 3. That was a very, very memorable moment.
Can I, while you think about that, I want to talk about the very first wedding that you did with us.
That was a good one.
And it was wild, middle of nowhere, no cell phone like reception at all.
Yeah.
Had to get walkie-talkies, which we never used.
Because we're just go. When we get there, I think we learned that the hard way. If we don't do it before we even walk in the door,
right.
like if we don't prepare ourselves before we walk in the door, we're like all hands on deck, client attention. Like we don't think about ourselves very much.
But we had those stupid walkie-talkies that hurt your ear so bad. And you just like jumped in and I was like, okay, this girl's going to be a keeper. But our sweet bride, she hadn't drank in a long time and she had a little bit too much to drink. And I will never forget, on your
wedding day.
You were the one holding her hair back and helping
her dress.
Her out.
Yeah.
And I was just
looking. We're not taking that dress.
I was just looking like, what is happening right now? And you just were like, yep, that's a true mom.
Yeah.
Right there, first of all. And second of all, that was quite the wedding to like introduce you to Delight.
Yeah.
That was in 2022.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Now that it's in 2024, like technically that feels like a really, really long time ago. Yeah, that was a trip of a wedding. For my first Missouri wedding, I feel like that was my like a good first Missouri
I bet
wedding.
You were probably like, oh my
We're driving in the middle of nowhere, and it was in a barn, which I mean, I've worked in barns before. No heat, no air. I think that was the thing that made it a barn. Like a true barn. The doors were on rollers.
Norm for us. That was not the norm. Is not the norm. And I was like, hey, come to this random barn.
And it was a blast. It was a lot of fun. Shout out to Erica. Love her.
Yeah.
We made it. Yeah, that was a good time. I do remember holding her dress, and all I kept thinking is, if she barfs on her dress, this is it. Like, she's going to be done for. I don't know if she's going to keep, like, wanting to party. And
they rallied.
And they did. They rallied. I just remember, like, we got to get this cleaned up.
Yeah.
Yeah, true mom moment. That was definitely made it to my top 5 for my, like, it definitely, for a first wedding. Probably, like, my number 3 would probably be taking Kelsey and Nate to their Airbnb. That was just... I didn't know how I was going to make it home because my GPS wasn't working. Like I look back on because I was in the middle of nowhere and I'm not good with directions. As you saw me walking in here.
Yes.
So yeah, I didn't know how we were going to make it, how I was going to make it home. So it was fun. I think maybe the second best was the wedding giveaway. That was like forever. Can't talk about it for too long. That was forever a highlight of my life. And then probably number 1 was it's tied because the wedding giveaway, I love fireworks. The wedding giveaway was like good fireworks, but the Canton fireworks were like
pretty good.
They were pretty good. I felt like I was at Disney at both, but I want to say the wedding giveaways might have been just a little bit better, a little bit.
Yeah. It was pretty awesome.
Good. It was really good.
It was pretty awesome.
So those are my
I
top.
think made Canton's fireworks the best was it was just like these guys who worked for their family company out in a field.
How did they not set themselves
setting
on
these
fire?
on fire
Their
in the middle?
Suits were legit.
Yeah, in the middle of a cornfield.
Yeah, they had. Yeah, they were out. There was no remotes. They were doing it.
Welcome to Missouri, y'all.
Another true Missouri wedding, and I loved every second of it. That one was probably like weddings overall. That was probably one of my favorite weddings that we've done, from just scope to details, the couple, the family, like all of like that. That was probably my favorite wedding from last year. But yeah, those are my top 3. The fireworks, I just love the fireworks, and the wedding giveaway was just
so amazing. Let's talk about the wedding giveaway. When I brought that idea up to you, what was your initial thought?
Yes, like why not? I mean, not that like our time is free, but I feel like that's part of something. I mean, obviously I don't own Delight and I'm not a business owner, but I feel like that's a small business choice that you can make, is your time to your community. And I think that your time to anybody is more valuable than anything you can give. So I was more than willing to give as much as my time as I could or needed or was able, and to help anyway. And I felt like that everybody that was involved felt the same way.
And you pressured your best friend to come all the way from Wichita to come help us on that day.
Yes.
And he was the biggest help.
Oh, yes. My best friend, love him. Shout out to Cooper.
Cooper, we love
Kyle
you.
James. He's great. I told him just about the family and kind of, everybody knows about their story, but about their daughter. And my kids were in the NICU for a long time, and my best friend was there. I mean, my kids are 6 now, so I'm really fortunate. I watched a lot of NICU moms, not be so fortunate. So when I read their story, I immediately was that's the one. Like, and that's the one we went with. And I told Cooper, and he felt the same way and wanted to drive up and help. And we had a lot of hands on deck. So he might not have been like super, super needed, but he was very, very happy to be there.
I was very happy to have him there. He was my security detail.
I mean, he's like 6'6". I mean, probably not that tall. Like 6'3", 6'2".
He's a large dude.
He's pretty big, pretty big and buff.
Bald head, wears like over the ear earpieces at all times. You never know who
he's talking to.
Yeah.
He's talking to you. He's talking to his
earpiece. He looked like a security guy. It was great.
He's a mess.
I love him.
He's a good time.
Well, I was glad that you got on board with the wedding giveaway, and everyone did, because it was a crazy idea that I had sitting in my brain for 3 years. And I was like, okay, now is the time. We're going to do it.
For 3 years? I didn't realize it was that long of a, like, I don't want to say like a buildup, but like that long that you'd been like, I want to do something like this.
Wow. Yeah, since 2020, beginning of 2020, which that wasn't the year to do it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hey, what about this idea? I've brought it up every single year and always to Cooper's Ridge. And they were like, yep, this is the year. Let's do it. And so we made it happen. But everyone keeps asking, when's the next one? When's the next one, Monica?
Not this year. I think we need I feel like if you did it every year. Yeah. And I also feel like that, not that a gift that special can't be given every year. But again, we go back to like market size and community. I feel like it's hard to decide when everybody, like that scope of a wedding could happen again, because it was a lot of every vendor's time. You know, it's a gift of a lot of time. And so we have to also be considerate to our, I don't even know how, gosh, we had what, 44 vendors that contributed. So I think that's a lot to ask of vendors to do every year, but I think every other year is,
I'm thinking 2025
is doable.
We're going to do it again, which means we'll have to start this year, but the wedding will happen in 2025. Yes,
I think that gives.
So put that on your to-do list.
Yeah, I'll add it to my ever-growing to-do list.
Okay, so let's kind of switch gears a little bit. I mean, why do you feel like it's just a necessity for people to hire a wedding planner?
I think that list is different for everybody, but quite extensive. I think that if you are a bride that is super type A, and you're like, I have it all under control. We work with those brides all the time. Yep. And we hear, especially from those brides at the end of the day, like, I am so glad I hired you. Because there's so many little things that go into your wedding day that you just honestly might not want to do. And you just might want to enjoy your day, as you should.
And their moms and families
want to enjoy their day and watch their children who they've raised and have loved on and brought to this point. Yeah. Also hand them off to their new life, essentially. You know, they're leaving the nest for real. So, you know, it's a whole, there's lots of reasons, from taking care of moms, answering questions, setup. I could, give me a category and I can give you probably 5 things as to why, you would need a wedding planner, from your rehearsal dinner, making sure you get there on time to actually make sure your rehearsal happens. Tons of reasons. One that particularly comes to mind, I had a great bride at the end of the year, and she was super organized. We were on so many client calls. She had all the details done. But something as simple as taking stickers off of vases.
Yep.
You do not know how much time that takes. And
in a packed schedule day with multiple locations.
Yes.
When that takes an hour to just get stickers off, that puts you an hour behind.
Yeah, because the florist has to have those. You have to have water in them. They, whatever they're doing, if that's the centerpiece, you gotta have the centerpiece there. And thank goodness, like I said, we have a great team of gals who step up and but yeah, just tons of reasons. On your wedding day, you never know what can go wrong, and you never know you don't know what you don't know until you do it. And so, you could show up and think that you're going to start hair and makeup at 10 o'clock, and then your pictures start at noon and nobody's ready.
Yep.
That's one example.
Happens.
Or, just even getting to the church on time, or, you don't want anybody to see you, or you don't want anybody taking pictures, but you also don't want your mom going in there and telling them, hey, put your phone down. I mean, that's what we're here for. Mm-hmm. We take care of the littlest details to the biggest ones.
Yeah. Yep. I couldn't have said it better myself. You just wrote our whole sales letter. Great job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You can get a bonus.
Oh, yay.
I'll take you to Starbucks after this. Okay, so one of the last things that I want to ask, and this is going to be my thing moving forward, because I asked the girls at Cooper's this yesterday. If you were not doing this as your job, what would you want to be doing?
I mean, like any job in the world.
Any job in the world. Mine is to be a farmer, but not for crops, just animals that I don't kill, but I keep them alive. So I just want to live on land and keep my animals alive.
What would you?
Highland cows, horses,
so if you're going to live on, are you going to be a vegetarian?
A zonkey. No, I'll eat meat, but I'm not going to kill my own animals.
Oh, so you're not living
Chickens,
on, you want to live
I'll have their eggs.
On the land, but not live off the land.
Yeah,
not live off the land. You live on the land, not off the land.
Not interested in homesteading. Just want to pretend.
I just want to be Snow White and show up to my castle in the woods.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You get it. I do. I mean,
you get me.
I work with you often. We talk often. I think I understand. Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I could just see the little deer coming, frolicking forward with their Highland cows behind. And yeah, that
I
would
think
be
so
you.
too. They'll just eat out of my hand.
2026 goals?
Maybe 2025. We can expedite it.
We could. I think my like dream job would be, okay, you're gonna be like, that totally checks. I want to be a criminal psychologist.
Oh, 1,000%.
But children criminal psychology.
Ew. Why? Because you want to save them.
That, and okay, I have triplets, and I don't use my children as a social experiment. I feel like I have to preface this. Like, that's like, they all get treated as equally as humanly possible in my home. But when I was pregnant, I always wanted to do criminal psychology. But what really sparked the like children thing is, so like back in the 80s, they did this social experiment on this set of triplets, and it's a Hulu documentary. You can find it. I don't remember the name of it. But basically they took the three boys and they separated them into social classes, and how their mannerisms were the same and how they were different. And then I also have worked in a couple of classrooms in public education where the children are like pretty violent and have extremely high behaviors. And I always look at them and I think about their siblings, and I'm like, not anything like went necessarily wrong, but like, nature versus nurture. Is it what really?
So you want to be a behavioral like panelist for children?
Yeah, leaning more towards criminally insane people.
Okay, well, I wish you well on that journey. Enjoy.
I mean, it is. She laughs. I listen to nothing but like murder podcasts.
In the background is like holding in their laughter.
Like, what is going on here? But like Ashley's like, yeah, that makes sense.
This makes sense. You are always listening to murder podcasts.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I grew up with my mom watching CSI and or like the NCIS, like Special Agents, like whatever. I watched like all those. Boomer moms, love them. But that was I went to sleep watching that, and I love murder documentaries.
Okay. Well, me and my Snow White life are going to go that way. And we'll see you down the road.
Yeah. And so like, I mean, yeah, we're pretty opposite in a lot of aspects.
Yes. But what binds us is our love for Post Malone.
For sure. And weddings.
Yeah. We're a good team.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being a guest on the podcast. Thank you for being a part of my life. And thank you for being a part of Delight.
Yeah, always.
We appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Okay, great.
Okay, bye.
See you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's Pearls of Wisdom podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Miner with Delight Events. As always, you can find us all over the internet by following us on Instagram at Delight Events Mo and on Facebook. And please consider leaving us a review here for the podcast. Subscribe if you're on YouTube or on Spotify. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.